Good morning. It's Friday, June 11th, and I'll bet you didn't know that there's a minor revolution going on in this country. It deals with the seismic shift that will rock college sports next month. This is when a handful of new state laws go into effect, allowing student athletes to make money off their personal images. Most of us know that it's been against the rules governing collegiate sports for student athletes to make a profit off their name or their image. Now, that's a practice that's okay in professional sports. But for some reason, the NCAA hung on to amateurism like it was going to kill people if we abandon amateurism. Now, amateurism, in my mind, was okay years ago. And I always felt that a collegiate athlete didn't need to be getting paid if they were getting a free ride for 4 years of college. I thought that was a sufficient amount of money for them to make. But times have changed, and we have to be more realistic. But I also think that the athlete who's playing for a college and really wants to get an education, if they're making money by playing for the college or for their image, then they shouldn't need a scholarship. They should be able to pay their way. They may take all this image money and pay tuition. That's okay. I don't see why that would be bad. And given the fact that many of these athletes go to school for 1 year, they get a free ride for 1 year, that bothers me also. Why do I want to give a guy a free ride and then he get to quit after 1 year? And I bet you most of the guys who are recruiting these athletes know that many of them have the talent to go on and play pro ball almost immediately. And the college, the year or two in college, is just a tune-up. It's like being in the minor leagues. So if that's the case, I think that the athlete should be willing to pay the 4 years of tuition even if they leave after 1 year. That wouldn't hurt. And maybe that would give an opportunity to some person who can't really afford to go to college, who get some kind of scholarship, take this money and use it for scholarship. So in any event, a bunch of states have forged ahead with laws granting college athletes the right to their own name and their image and their likeness. Of course, that's not like paying them to play ball. No, it's just because they're good looking or they play well. But it's not because they have talent on the ball field. Now, in 5 states, including Florida and Georgia, this law will go into effect on July 1st. Now, the Nevada state legislature passed its own law, but that doesn't go into effect until January 1, 2022. Now, here's something that I find unbelievable. Congress could step in before then, but the lawmakers in Congress haven't been able to agree on anything like a federal law for this. And why do we have to waste time on this? We got more important laws than dealing with the images of college athletes. So I think Congress should take a break, deal with infrastructure, deal with health care, deal with all the problems we have, instead of worrying about whether some college kid is getting paid because he's good looking or he's a good athlete or whatever. That's nonsense. Federal government should stay out of this one. It's not like voting rules or anything. And it's up to the college. If the college wants to let the kid play and make money off his image, that's up to the college. I don't even think it has to be a law or anything. Like, nobody ever stopped me from working after school when I was going to college. So what's the difference? I don't see any difference at all. I worked my way through college. Nobody helped me out. Of course, I wasn't very good looking. But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that we have laws on the books that prohibited these kids because we wanted them to remain amateurs. And what good is being an amateur if you can't make a buck? This law in Nevada is going to prohibit colleges and sports organizations from stopping student athletes in Nevada from being compensated for their image or their name or anything associated with them. It would seem to me that we shouldn't even need a law like that. This is just a law that's being created because of the power that the NCAA had in monitoring amateurism like it was the end of the world. Like if you got a couple bucks for playing, that was a terrible thing. You had to be an amateur, Well, that's gone by the wayside. So I don't even know why we need any kind of law that protects anybody from using their image. Seems to me like a waste of time, a waste of the politicians' time. Don't they have better things to do? Get this. The NCAA hasn't agreed to this. But they must see the handwriting on the wall because all these guys in Nevada are saying it's coming, it's coming. We're going to set these students free to make a buck. Now, the only thing I disagree with is that, if they're making a buck, then they should pay for their own education. They shouldn't get a scholarship. Give that scholarship to some kid who needs it, who can't make a buck because all he can do was mathematics and science and, English lit or something. This whole thing is a nightmare. Well, it's not really a nightmare. It's a terrible situation that we've gotten in. It's a long time coming, and it's about time that it came. But it shouldn't be such a thing that it turns over state legislatures and Congress to get involved in this whole thing. They should just say, look, it's up to the college. If you want to let them make money, let them make money. If you sign a guy up for a year or two of playing, well, that's your tough luck. If you wanted him there for 4 years, then you got to make some kind of deal. We know for a long line it's been, we don't have to pay these kids. We're giving them a good education, right? They're getting paid for the experience of playing and learning how to play the game better. And they're getting a good education. Well, that may be true. But it's not true when you compare the dollars that these teams make for the university. Some of these universities didn't have a good sports program. They might go out of business. They make a shitload of money for the games that they put on. Football, basketball. I don't know if they make much on baseball. Maybe they make a lot on hockey or soccer or something like that. But they give the kids an opportunity to play. And then they make a ton of money on the sports that people really want to look at. Creating a bold team for the football games. Now, of course, some will argue that athletes don't get a full scholarship. Some of them only get a partial scholarship. Doesn't matter. These kids are helping generate enormous sums for their universities. And in many cases, they come from poor families. Their families couldn't afford to send them to school. So if the kid can make money off his image and he gives some money back home, that has to be considered. Because being a college athlete is not an easy thing. It takes up a lot of time, and that's probably why a lot of them don't stick around too long. Because being an athlete takes up as much time as studying for the regents and things like that. So basically, I think it's a good idea that kids can make any kind of money they want. I think it'd be a great idea if they made enough money to pay their own tuition and they wouldn't need a scholarship of any kind. That would be wonderful, and that would help their parents and help some other kids who can't afford to go to school but are smart enough, but they don't have a talent, a sports talent or anything. So that's all I want to say today, and I'll see you tomorrow, and have a great day. Bye.